pick four tickets that paid off to those with 2 of the 4 winners. That's a rare day.
Mm-hmm.
And the late double, 11 won each race. The 11 horse was an 11 all and an all 11.
Oh, wow.
Nobody had the late double, so if you had an 11 horse in either leg, you were a winner. Other than that, though, it was very formful yesterday for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the way things go. I mean, a lot of times the best horse wins. So, that being said, I'm taking a few chances today. We'll see if that works out. On at least one occasion, I'm taking the lesser-regarded Karl Broberg, which sometimes can be a good move.
Yeah, it can be.
He
very
does
good
win,
move.
not all the time, but fairly regularly with the lesser-regarded of his 2. On to the first. Lots of them in here coming back quickly. Lots of them in here raced last week. 7/8 Civil Mile, fillies, non-winners of 2 claimers.
Yeah, in this race, I didn't have a big favorite in the race like a lot of the races today. I mean, these look competitive. I went with Gibson, who has been on the turf most recently in his last 2 races. But this is a 7/8 race on the main track, and this horse's sprint races are pretty good. Broke his maiden for 30 at Remington Park, going 6 1/2 furlong, similar distances today's 7/8. Been running at a much higher price than she drops in today, and I just figure with the distance switch, the surface change, and the big drop in class, Gibson becomes pretty logical for me.
One thing I'll point out, if you're looking at your past performances in the program or DRF, Gibson dropped tremendously far off the pace last time, but like we had with a case yesterday, with a horse that came from way out of it, in this particular May 26th race, there was a horse in there named Market Profile who just absolutely opened up on the field early by 5, 6, 7 lengths, and that skewed the margins because, like I said yesterday, Gibson at the second point of call, 17 lengths back, but the leader probably had a 7-length lead at that point. So she's still 17 lengths off the leader, but not that far back from the rest of the pack. Made up ground, never really got near the winner, but it's the second off a break for her, and gets back to the dirt, which I would argue might be her better surface. Certainly it's hard to say because her turf races were against much better, but I'm going with her too. Catholic Sue, one thing I will point out about Catholic Sue, this is important because she's 5-2. It looks like she made a Zenyatta-esque swoosh move from 2.5 lengths back to 6 lengths in front in the stretch. Well, what happened was there was a filly that hit the rail that was battling with her. She was like head and head at the 8th pole. The filly leaned in, smacked the rail, unseated the rider. So suddenly Catholic Sue was in front by 6 because the rest of the field was lagging far behind. So, and then she wins by 9 3/4 because everybody else was staggering in behind. But the horse that was co-leading with Catholic Sue that had been setting the pace hit the rail in the stretch and sent the rider up in the air. And, that was scary looking. But that's why that PP line looks the way it does. On to race 2. There's a Broberg and a former Broberg in this race. That I had a bit of a tough time separating. Race 2, a mile, starter allowance on the main track. The Broberg is Mongolian B, who I picked last time. The former Broberg is DeSoto's War, who I've also picked of late, who is now with J.R. Caldwell.
Yeah, and I went in and took the Caldwell claim, DeSoto's War, who had done nothing but sprint throughout recent history. He's a 7-year-old now. Broberg decided to go 2 turns with this veteran, and he responded in a big way. I mean, that's the best buyer figure of his career in his last race, mind you, as a 7-year-old, but it's also his first time around 2 turns in a very long time. So I just felt like this was probably a pretty smart claim by Caldwell. Keeps him around 2 turns, which he definitely should have. Going for a 3rd consecutive win, has sprinter speed, so at this route distance, you'd assume if he doesn't make the lead, he'll be very close. And if he can run that same race back for new connections, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but if he can hold form for Caldwell, who's a very good horseman, then he's got a good chance to repeat.
Yeah, I mean, Caldwell's good off the claim. This horse is super sharp right now. I mean, I just went with him as well because, I don't know how comfy he is sitting off the pace and finishing. He tends to win on the front end or be very close to it. But he's so good right now, I don't think that really matters. Mongolian B I picked last time, and he was a little bit of a surprise favorite, I thought. There was somebody else in there that we thought would take a lot of money, but Mongolian B put up an 80 buyer going only 5/8 of a mile. He's got to go 3/8 of a mile farther today on the stretch out, but he's super sharp as well. I don't really understand why they don't just keep him in sprints. I mean, I'm not a condition book expert, and I don't know what's coming up. I think it's kind of odd that they're not sprinting him again, but what the heck? Broberg is known for stretching him out, turning him back, and whatever.
Yeah,
so,
and Mongolian B did defeat at Fairgrounds DeSoto's War at Fairgrounds going 6. But again, this is a totally different game when you start going around 2 turns. So we shall see. But Mongolian B has won 3 consecutive races. So 2 very, very sharp horses in this race.
Another one of my favorites is Stan's Home Run, who was my third pick. I picked him on May 17th. I got a 4-1 winner out of him. He ran well that day. And then he came back in the Texas Hall of Fame. He was bet a little bit there. I mean, he was 9-2 in that race. I think that's kind of dismissible. That was a 4-horse field on an off-the-turfer.
Yeah, he has bad wet track form, Stan's Home Run. And today, I don't think we have to worry about sloppy surface today.
I don't think we do. On to the third. 5/8 on grass. Scratch number 1, Gabara. She had been rained off the turf 4 consecutive times. She gets in a turf race today on a 90-plus degree day, and she has to scratch. It's too bad. I don't know if she's ever going to run on the turf.
Yeah, no talent. Elucidoro is very interesting. Just the circumstances of this is a 5/8 turf sprint. He only showed turf sprints real early in his career. I mean, I had to go back to like 2021.
Yeah, I looked him up actually.
Yeah, he won at Churchill, and then Kentucky Downs. He didn't run so good. If I have the right horse,
I've got both of them on Churchill races.
Okay, yeah,
but I can tell the story about that because I looked him up.
Yeah, it's a long time ago, but nevertheless. He's been around 2 turns as far as the past performances show. The races at Delta at 7/8 are 2 turns, just so you know if you haven't been out here. Even the 6.5 furlong race at Delta is around 2 turns. Finally sprinted him on June 2nd, Broberg did, at this level, entry-level allowance, and he ran a terrific race, beating only a neck. So if you make the case that he's better on turf than dirt, which, you can make that case based on 2 races, and his route races were pretty good, better than his 2-turn races on dirt, perhaps. So he's now on the rail with a scratch of Gabara. Probably won't be on the lead at this distance and on this surface, but again, he should come running late.
Harry Hernandez, injured on Friday night here, is out, so we will have jockey changes announced and displayed for all of his horses. I looked up Elusive Doro just out of curiosity. He debuted May 24th of 2019, his overall racing debut on the turf at Churchill, ran second. Then he was off. He was an Asmussen runner in those days. Then he was off until November of 2019. He won turf sprinting, broke his maiden on the grass, and the comment was, won with authority. So back in those days, and when he was 2-year-old, he could run on the turf.
Yep.
So that was interesting. 5 years ago was his debut.
Well, he's back in good form, so hopefully he takes back to the turf.
Kind of an X factor, too, is Larry's Legend. I mean, he has very little, he has no success on the turf, a second and a third and 9 tries. He's done nothing turf sprinting, but he's pretty sharp.
Yeah, and I would just quickly mention Sponge Bath, who's turf sprinted really well early in his career. Last year as a 2-year-old, wins debut easily at Ellis Park, goes to Kentucky Downs, a very tough place to win turf sprinting, and he finishes third after a layoff. That last start here at Lone Star Park, 22-3 and 47-1. He was going 2 turns for the first time. On the turn back, Sponge Bath, he's going to be a big late factor, I think.
No, I agree. I didn't use him in the picks for some reason, but I agree. Race 4. 7 furlongs, first level allowance, scratch the 2, Lions Not Sheep, and the 6, Tail Twister.
Yeah, this was a tough day to have a most likely winner because I think the races are super competitive. I went with Banderas Tech as the most likely winner. Off consistently strong buyer figures earned at Oaklawn Park. He won an open $25,000 claiming race in Hot Springs, finished second in a couple really nice races, including an allowance race. And then 2 starts back here at Lone Star Park at the same level, was narrowly beaten at even money odds, just in really good form, has the best numbers in the race. No, I can't make that. Who is that? I made a reference to, I did want to talk. Did you pick Without a Trace anywhere?
No. Second.
Okay. Since I made him 8-1, and I thought I'd just throw out real quickly that, he was on the main track at Houston in April, won by nearly 7 lengths, tried the turf, and then the next start still was competitive. And then May 18th here at Lone Star Park finishes second, going a mile, so he cuts back a little bit. But the winner of that race, Unload, I think Unload's super good right now. He's had some great workouts since that race May 18th, so I think finishing second to Unload is a strong credential in this race.
I made a note of that as well. Unload was a great winner that day. He's a gun runner. He's in the Asmussen barn, which, they win 2 to 3 races a day, it seems like right now. And he was challenged a couple weeks ago in the standings by Broberg. Broberg got pretty close to him, and then since then, Steve has just shot ahead. So, I like Without a Trace, too. I'm going to try Mystery Mo, the other Broberg in here. This is twice today I'm picking against the Broberg favorite. Bandera Azteca, like you say, I can't believe he's not a sharp Azteca horse. He's by Dancing Candy from a Holy Bull mare, but he should win. To me, he's an enigma, though. He's like that horse Blueberry, whatever that you picked yesterday. That he either wins or he doesn't finish. And this horse wasn't his fault. He lunged and was held on to back in April at Oaklawn, but his other races have been pretty good. I just worry he's a little bit of a money burner, just a little bit. He's failed to win as a heavy favorite twice in a row, and I think he kind of likes the fake stuff. He's kind of a synthetic guy, but his dirt record's good. But still, I'm going to try Mystery Mo, turns back in distance, gets a dry track. He had a nice win at Oaklawn as well, albeit in a beaten claiming race when Carl claimed him. Carl hasn't gotten a whole lot out of him since. I'm just going to give a shot to him to sit off of it a little bit and maybe be able to rally. And just thinking Bandera Azteca might be one of those in and outers. And I think whatever price Bandera Azteca is, it might be a little low for his reliability factor. Of course, he could also win by 5.
Yeah, Mystery Mo has not gone one turn in a long time, which doesn't mean it's a negative, because at 7/8 of a mile, a lot of people prefer front-running route horses. Not the type that make the easy lead, because the pace is always faster sprinting, but ones that are forwardly placed like Mystery Mo.
And some time way back in the past, he did win going 7/8 for what that's worth. On to the 5th. Scratch the main track only entrant here, number 8, Blame It on Midnight. This is a filly optional claimer on the grass at 7.5 furlongs.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with Templar Red for Carrie Craddock. I can rely on her. She usually has them ready to roll. Last year, this mare ran twice at Lone Star Park, had a really nice optional claiming win at a similar condition as she's entered today. Off that effort, they decided to go in the Wasted Tears against, top-notch runners there. We get a lot of ship-ins usually for that race, so it was a tough field and still managed to finish fourth.
One of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Fast forward to this year, 2 really good races at Houston at this same condition, narrowly favored in both of those races. Last time out, he rained off the turf. They decided to run anyway on the sloppy track, and a race that wasn't very good. But since then, a really sharp work by herself, 1 minute and 4/5. That was strong. Her record at the distance, 7 starts at this distance, 5 wins. That's an incredible record. We know, like I said, she's won over this turf course, and I think she'll work out an absolutely perfect trip.
Yeah, I agree. I can't add anything to that. I would only point out the 2-horse, My Friend Amy, my second pick, stretches out from sprints. Last time was in against a really tough field with Spirit Wind, an accomplished girl in the Memorial Day sprint. gets back to turf where he does have, or she does have a couple of seconds and a third. Gellner's Barn is really heating up. Luis Quinones riding well. I think this mare fits Luis well. I think she could get a good trip out of this and be a price. So I used her as second as a
lot
price.
of older mares in here. 7, 5, 5, and 6. She's Sky's the Limit, Optimistic Cowgirl, Enchanted Nile. They're all in good form. They're all old, very experienced mares that know how to win races.
I think Cinnamon Face could factor in there as well for Sean Davis. I mean, had a really nice turf win here, albeit against Lesser last time. But she was pocketed in behind the leader and just drew off with authority. Now, that was a month ago, but still. Race 6. Scratch number 5, Chrissy and Sarah's Boy. If that were Rick and Sarah's boy, that would be
Ricky.
That would be your son.
There you go.
3/4 of a mile, all older horses here, $10,000 condition claimers.
Yeah, this is in the track program. My best long shot pick is Runway Magic for Federico Villafranco. This is a horse like one of the ones that Jim just picked. He's been routing, going 2 turns for seems like forever. Now trying to sprint distance. If you go back to this horse's form of 2022 when he was sprinting, you see 3 terrific races at 1 turn, 2 at Churchill, 1 at Keeneland. Those are terrific races. Recent races going 2 turns at Fairgrounds and Lone Star and Oaklawn at the 6 furlong pole has been right there in each one of those races, now dropping to the lowest level of his career. This is a turn-back type of horse that I like, and I don't think the public's going to like this horse much off 2 really weak recent buyer speed figures, but I think the turn-back and class drop may offer him a chance to win at a price.
Yeah, I like both those factors. I used him third as well. I kind of felt for the favorite here in Grapnel. He does have the best last race buyer fig. I thought his last race was okay. He was coming off a couple of month layoff. He opened up a nice lead and just got caught late by Larry's Legend. It was 3-5. Larry's Legend came back and ran a nice second in Allowance Company since then. So I think that was a legit race. It was well back to third. Grapnel took the drop last time and responded. I don't like horses that drop from much higher levels and then, kind of run poorly. That doesn't inspire me the next time they come back at a lower level. But I thought he ran well. I took him. I didn't really love anybody else's form in here. Tiger Dad for Asmussen. I mean, right now you have to consider, he had a very rough winter at Hot Springs, but I think you got to figure he didn't like the surface.
Yeah, I drew a ring around those races. I'm afraid of him because he runs second. Now he's dropping from 15 to 10. If he goes back to the races he ran in Kentucky in the fall at Churchill and Keeneland, he's going to beat this field. But I'm not so sure he's going to bounce back to that, and I figured, hey, I'm going to try to beat that horse.
Well, I think this could be a good race to do that. I didn't love anybody's form in there.
No.
But Burnin' Hunk of Love, who beat Tiger Dad last time, is a 6-time winner who shipped in from Oaklawn and was 9-10 in the wagering.
Right.
So running second to him was okay. On to the 7th. I think there's a ton of contention in this one, and I am, again, going way off the board in this one. 5/8 of a mile on turf, non-winners of 3 life. Scratch the one who won last week, by the way, at 18-1, Special Memory.
Yeah, I made the favorite 3-1 to give you an idea how difficult I thought this race was. I went with the horse I laid 4-1, Balsa, on the far outside. Rationale is this horse is this. I think the speed of the speed in here. I think that he can get to the front. And this turf course, since we haven't had rain in a while, it's really fast. I do the buyer figures for this track, and the variant, the times we're getting on this turf course are very fast now. So, it's less tiring out. And Balsa, I think, will get to the front. Won a condition claimer at Oaklawn Park. Turf sprint, you only see one, but that was at Saratoga as a 2-year-old, and he made it to the front there. I mean, turning to the stretch, he was in front. So I think he'll like the turf course here. And, in a wide-open race, as you know, I like to say, give me the lead at the top of the lane, and I'll take my chances.
Yeah, Balsa is fascinating because he has been claimed 3 times for $30,000 and 1 time for $20,000.
Yeah.
So I think that's $110,000 in claims for a horse that's earned $66,900. But a lot of horsemen have been willing to plunk down some serious money for this guy. There's got to be talent there that we haven't always seen I like the fact that in his first 2 races 2 years ago at Saratoga, he got the identical comment from the chart callers, who are phenomenal in New York. In hand, 2-path, tired.
Yeah.
So he had the same exact trip. He made the lead in hand, and he got tired. Of course, that was a long time ago. I have him second as well. His second dam was a multiple grade 3 winner who earned $400,000, his grandmother. Now, she was all dirt, but still. I'm going with Pure Malice. I have liked this horse since he debuted here last year. His dam, Pure Clan, was a Bob Holthus trainee, who Paul Holthus, his son, says is the best mare his dad ever trained. And, I mean, she'd be the best mare a lot of people ever trained. I mean, she earned almost $2 million. And Pure Malice, Broberg, I think, might have found a key to him. I mean, he was in way too tough last time, and he doesn't have much history on the turf, a little bit. I think his sprint races have been good. I think they can put away ever going 2 turns with him again. His sprint races, if you isolate them, have been pretty good. I'm going to take a chance with him. He's got a touch of speed, and yet he has won from off the pace. I think in a wide-open race, I'm going to take him.
Yeah, Broberg at a price. You don't get that very often.
Exactly. So I'm gonna take a shot.
Sure.
8th race. 3-year-olds and up. Texas bred maidens. This is the first maiden race of the card. I mean, we like maiden races. They're fun to handicap most of the time, but we got all the way to the 8th before we see a maiden sprint here.
Yeah, this race, I'm going to go with the 11, going to San Antonio. I did pick his trainer, Capalucci, 3 times yesterday and got me 2 wins. So it's tough to beat that.
He's heating up.
Yeah, he is heating up. This is a main track sprint. His races at Sunland, maiden special weights, he finished 2nd and 3rd in those 2 races. Obviously, that was open special weights. He gets to run with his friends here, Texas breds.
He needs it.
Yeah, the first start, that's very true. The first,
I think, personally.
The first start here at Lone Star Park, they tried turf with him, going 2 turns, and he was forwardly placed, faded, as I'd say expected. He did run here as a 2-year-old, and you can see he finished 2nd in a maiden special weight race, Texas restricted to Texas breds. Obviously, at 3, he's going to be much faster than that, running over this surface, so I'm going to go ahead and take him. I did notice Capalucci turf to dirt is a very high. Not only is it a high win percentage, the profitability is
huge,
strong, really good.
Yeah.
So I'd like to think he just got him a little fit there. He's got him primed, ready to go against Texas breds, and he's going to win and pay $7.60 and make Jim scratch his head.
Hey, I will scratch my head, but I mean, you do things every day that are handicapping wise that are amazing to me. So it's much more likely to happen than what I think might happen. But we've seen this guy before going to San Antone. I mean, he was pretty highly regarded last year as a 2-year-old. He's been right around there. I mean, he merits serious consideration. He can sprint a little. I'm going with Flying Caesar, a little more lightly raced, you might say, a little less experience. He's been gelded since his last race. His last race might not look like much. He laid about 4 lengths off the pace and followed a really, really sharp maiden winner, Vino Texas Jess. He just followed the heavy favorite. Vino Texas Jess was odds on, followed him around the far turn, and like everybody else, got his drawers blown off by Vino Texas Jess. But, he was well clear of everybody else. I think a good work, a good half-mile breeze since. He's been gelded, had a little experience. He's not going to have Stuart Elliott on him today because Stuart is out with an injury. I'm going to take a chance on him. With Vigilant Storm is really impressive to me. A half-sister, Danzig up a Storm, also won at first asking, and I like that angle. I like it when a sibling wins at first asking. And also a half-sis named Whirling It Up was 1 for 1, and so won her debut as well. So it has 2 half-sisters that won at first asking, and even though Ronnie Cravens is 0 for 20 with first-time starters, he's a good trainer, and Vigilant Storm has some good works. So I would not be surprised to see him run. I would hope he runs well here.
Yeah, and one of the criterion I use for picking a firster is if the experienced horses haven't ran to par yet. The Beyer par is 58, and I think a 50 will win it.
Probably.
I mean, that's my gut feeling.
I made a sarcastic comment about the Beyer par on my notes. Like,
yeah.
I don't think they're going to quite make it.
I don't think
race.
they will. Unless going to San Antone airs.
Unless he has the Lee Cappellucci magic. Race 9. Scratch the 4, Rivers End. This is a 5.5 furlong Texas-bred filly claimer. Boy, there's a lot of fillies entering this one off big losses. Which double-digit loss for some of these are you most comfortable with?
I know.
I mean, you know, Cranky Sheila comes out of a pretty good race, but like Flying First Class, who's our top pick, was just dusted against much better. That's the way it is for a lot of these.
Yeah, and the Beyer figure in that 13-length defeat's almost as strong as Cranky Sheila's second-place finish. So, I mean, yeah, you got to choose what you think. I mean, just 2 starts back, Flying First Class won, and it was a clear winner in a maiden special weight race, and now is in a non-2 for 10. That's strictly based off just fading so poorly against allowance, optional claimers. This is a big drop in class. It looks to me like she's going to get to the front. She only got to the lead one other time, a clear lead in her career, and ran a pretty nice race down in Houston. Valdez Jimenez, Caldwell goes to his go-to rider, Diaz. So I had to look to see who Jimenez was on, because sometimes if it's like the second choice, you feel like, hey, I might be naive. But he's on a 30-1 shot.
Yeah.
So I don't think his agent or he decided, let me ride Cesar Gabea's horse.
Too much guitar.
I think I can wake him up. So anyways.
Even though he's by Star Guitar, who Randy Moss loves, and is a very good sire.
Yeah, he's a very good sire. So anyway, so I'm going to take the horse I think will be on the lead with a winning trainer's go-to rider. That combination, I'm thinking I'm going to go that direction.
Yeah, I essentially feel the same way. And, there's some fillies in here that, their form has just not been real reliable. Mm-hmm. Kind of like Cowgirls Like Bling, although that Asmussen combination. And this horse had a sister Fast Track that just won last week. I just think a filly like Cowgirls Like Bling, she could very well win today. But from a betting perspective, whatever her odds are, they're liable to be lower than you should really get for her likelihood of winning.
Right.
10th and final. Got a nice high-five carryover of over $5,000. I'm forgetting the exact number, but high-five on the 10th race, 10th and final race, mile and a 16th on the turf, scratch the 4 Haley's Jewel, and the 6 Cairo Moon.
Yeah, so I scratch into the 1. Will Burns, Classy Lady for trainer Ronnie Cravens. This horse is dropping into a condition claiming race for the first time, so I like that. She's run in 4 stake races in her career. She's been somewhat competitive in those. Was an allowance winner at Houston and an impressive allowance winner at that, and comes off a race on a sloppy main track, so that race has no relevance here. I just feel like with the drop in class, the advantageous position being on the rail. This is not a confident pick, so as I brag about her, I'm trying to just let you know this is a very competitive race. On figure, she's really not the best. On class, I think she's kept the best company. And again, with that post, I'm going to go her direction.
Yeah. The thing about this race, to me, it looks like what I would call a paceless raffle. I mean, it's a wide open race to begin with. And I just think it's very paceless. I mean, my Patriotic Girl has a little bit of speed, but I don't really envision her going wire to wire. Rio Bella takes the blinkers off, made the lead in a super, super slow pace at Houston one time. Otherwise, she's off the pace. So trip's going to be important here. Somebody like Eric Asmussen might steal this one with Run, Wit, Run on the outside, because somebody might make an aggressive move like Leandro Goncalves did with Biggin in yesterday's last race. He had the outside post, sped to the lead, crossed over, and nobody got close to him the rest of the way.
That Run. I mean, likes Lone Star Park's turf course and doesn't do a lot of running anywhere else. So that's and Bob Young's off to a pretty good start. Yeah. Eric Asmussen, of course, he could win a riding title with Hernandez injured.
He could.
It's possible.
Eric is up to like a joint second in the standings.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen. So.
All right. Well, Enjoy the rest of your Father's Day.
Yeah, you do the same. Thank you.
Whatever you might grill. Thanks a lot for joining us here for the 10 race card. Good luck this afternoon.